Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani Klenkwas Wanawe Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening in the SADC region and beyond. As usual, you are joined by Ashwin Mbedi and Anna Raiza Kweyo on a Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone. Today is such a fun day, fitting for Friday. It's Wiggle Your Toes Day. Wiggle Your Toes Day is an excellent opportunity to let those 10 little pigs get some action, see some daylight, and indulge in some public wiggling adventure. Now, spring is around the corner, so wiggle those toes. And here's more on Wiggle Your Toes Day. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our first story, heartbreaking devastation in Tigray, says UN humanitarian chief. The new UN Emergency Relief Coordinator ended a 6-day mission to Ethiopia with a fresh push to get badly needed food and other supplies into the embattled region of Tigray. We need to change the circumstances that have led to slow movement of aid. We need the conflict to stop. Martin Griffiths, who also heads the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, said on Tuesday evening. More than 5.2 million people across the Tigray, amounting to more than 90% of the region's population, now require life-saving assistance, according to OCHA. This includes nearly 400,000 people already facing famine-like conditions. The 9-month conflict that erupted in Tigray between federal troops and forces loyal to the northern region's ruler has spilled into neighboring Amhara and Afar region, where humanitarian needs are also surging. Across the Amhara-Tigray region border, there are an estimated 100,000 internally displaced people in various pockets.
Our second story comes from the Central African Republic as UN report calls for urgent end to mounting human rights abuses and violations. A UN report published details of the dire and worsening human rights situation over the past year in the Central African Republic, where armed groups carried out a violent bid to disrupt elections. In response, the country's defense and security forces launched military operations to retake territory from them. The Human Rights Division of MINUSCA documented 526 incidents of abuses and violations of human rights and international humanitarian law across the country during this period. These violations affected at least 1,221 victims, including 144 civilians or those hors de combat who were killed by the parties to the conflict. The CPC killed and abducted civilians, attacked UN peacekeepers, looted the premises of humanitarian organizations, threatening their staff, and burned down polling stations.
Sudan unanimously endorses bill on joining ICC. Sudan's transitional cabinet has unanimously approved a bill that could pave a way for it to join the International Criminal Court. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok tweeted on Tuesday. The draft has been approved in preparation for a joint meeting between the governing Sovereign Council and the cabinet to pass it into law. The development moves Sudan closer to handing over to the ICC suspects wanted for war crimes and genocide in the western Darfur region, including former President Omar al-Bashir. In May, the ICC concluded a confirmation of charges hearing in the case of Ali Kushab, who is accused of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in Darfur between 2003 and 2004.
Latest COVID-19 data confirms infections have risen globally for 4 consecutive weeks. COVID-19 infections have continued to rise globally for more than a month now, with over 4 million million cases reported in the past week alone, the UN Health Agency said on Wednesday. In its latest update, the World Health Organization attributed the uptick to substantial caseload increases of 33% in the Western Pacific and 37% in the Eastern Mediterranean, where coronavirus fatalities also rose 48 and 31% respectively. Africa and Europe witnessed a 2% decrease in COVID-19 deaths, while Southeast Asia registered a 3% increase, according to WHO's COVID-19 weekly epidemiological update. Overall, the total number of reported cases is around 197 million, with 4.2 million deaths worldwide.
In our next story, Ethiopia suspends 3 humanitarian groups in Tigray. The Ethiopian government has suspended the activities of 3 foreign humanitarian organizations which have been working in the restive northern Tigray region. Ethiopia's Agency for Civil Society Organization said it had identified rule violation by the 3 aid groups, namely Doctors Without Borders, the Nigerian Refugee Council, and Maktoum Foundation, while monitoring their activities. The agency also accused the 3 aid organization of employing foreign nationals for more than 6 months without the appropriate work permits from the Ethiopian government. The agency stated that the activities of the 3 organizations have been suspended for 3 months until a final decision is made. Last month, the Ethiopian government said that some aid agencies are engaged in undisclosed destructive acts and warned that it will expel them if they do not refrain from the said activities.
We move to South Africa as Zuma to be allowed out of prison for trial. South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma will be allowed out of prison on Tuesday next week to appear in person at a corruption trial. The court's decision comes weeks after more than 300 people were killed during rioting that was sparked by Zuma's arrest for contempt of court in a separate case. A heavy security presence is highly likely as Zuma's supporters are expected to gather at the corruption trial in Pietermaritzburg, a city devastated by riots and looting sparked by his arrest. This will be the second time Zuma will appear in public since he was taken into custody last month. He was also allowed out briefly last week to attend his brother's funeral.
In our next story, South Sudan Vice President Machar disposed by party. South Sudan Vice President Riek Machar has been disposed as head of his party and its armed forces, rival military leader said on Wednesday. Machar played a major role in pushing his partner President Salva Kiir to a peace deal in 2018 and in the subsequent formation of a unity government following years of civil war. Machar was disposed following a 3-day gathering in the country's far north of senior leaders from the Sudan People's Liberation Movement in opposition, said the party's military wing, the SPLMA. Its chief of staff, First Lieutenant General Simon Gatred, was declared interim leader of the opposition movement that governs the troubled country in a shaky alliance with former enemies. The military wing said Machar had completely failed to show leadership and greatly weakened the party's opposition in the post-war coalition government formed between the warring sides in early 2020.
Next up, Zimbabwe. Chiwenga hides potentially damning audit report on health ministry corruption. Vice President and Health Minister Constantino Chiwenga has been sitting on the Auditor General's specially commissioned audit report for the ministry, which looks at potential abuses of COVID-19 funds, despite the fact that it has been ready for tabling in the National Assembly for months. The failure to table the report has since given rise to widespread speculation that it may have been motivated by a deliberate desire to conceal its potentially damning contents, which are still yet to be made public. The failure has since resulted in Auditor General Mildred Chiri transmitting a copy of the report directly to the Speaker of the National Assembly, who is empowered by law to table it in the event that a responsible minister is unwilling to do so. There was a public outcry early this year after Health Ministry Epidemiology and Disease Control Director Portia Manangazira was arrested in connection with criminal abuse related relating to allegations she misappropriated funds meant for COVID-19 awareness programs. The case is still in the courts.
In our next story, Egypt's Suez Canal celebrates arrival of new giant dredger. Egypt's Suez Canal Authority held a ceremony on Wednesday to celebrate the recent arrival of Qatar suction dredger named Hussein Tantawi. The ceremony was attended by SCA Chairman Osama Rabi and Egypt Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouly, who hoisted the flag of Egypt on the new dredger. The dredger is the largest and most advanced in the Middle East and Africa, said Rabi during the ceremony, describing the new dredger as an unprecedented addition to the SCA fleet. Rabi noted that the CSD Hussein Tantawi is characterized by advanced technical specifications and equipped with the latest system of 3D bottom imaging and scanning, as well as control, safety, and security system.
Next, we are talking about World Breastfeeding Week. This week, as countries around the world celebrate World Breastfeeding Week, the United Nations calls on all stakeholders to support breastfeeding. Breastfeeding provides every child with the best possible start in life. It delivers health, nutritional, and emotional benefits to both children and mothers, and it forms part of a sustainable food system. But while breastfeeding is a natural process, it is not always easy. Mothers need support, both to get started and to sustain breastfeeding. Breastfed children perform better on intelligence tests, are less likely to be overweight or obese, and less prone to diabetes later in life. Women who breastfeed also have a reduced risk of breast and ovarian cancers.
In our next story, Ivory Coast manage and paste turns plastic waste into paving stone in Yopougon. The Ivorian company Manage and Paste has just completed a laying of 200 meters of paved walkways at the Wasakara market in Yopougon, Ivory Coast. The construction materials were made from plastic waste. The initiative is funded by Nestle Ivory Coast, the food subsidiary of the Swiss multinational Nestle. These building materials are cheaper than concrete paving stones. Between 2020 and 2021, the operation has enabled the collection and recycling of 60 tons of plastic waste in Yopougon, particularly in Wasakara, Sikogi, and Smela markets, and the creation of 15 jobs for collectors and supervisors.
And in the last of our top stories, Nigeria seizes pangolin scales in $54 million record haul. Nigerian authorities have arrested 3 people after seizing a huge quantity of wild animal parts, including pangolin scales and elephant tusks bound for Southeast Asia. The head of Nigeria's Customs Department said the record illegal haul, worth more than $54 million, was made in the Lekki area of Lagos. He said they found 18 tons of pangolin scales and elephant tusks weighing close to a ton. The animal parts are thought to have come from the Central African Republic and were to be trafficked to Southeast Asia. The critically endangered pangolin is one of the most trafficked mammals on Earth due to the demand for its scales in traditional Chinese medicine. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. After the break, we're going to be talking to the man of the moment, Coach Hank Botha, who took Beatrice Masilingi and Christine Boma to the Tokyo Olympics. Stick around. Now, yesterday we had the privilege of catching up with the coach of sprinting stars, Christine Mboma and Beatrice Masilingi. Hank Botha had a chat with Danny Boyson, who is the editor of the Afrikaans Daily from Namibia Media Holdings Republican. Have a look at this very interesting chat.
Coach Henk Botha, allow us to, on behalf of the whole Namibia here on Africa Good Morning, also congratulate you as well as Christine Mboma and Beatrice Masilingi with an absolute stellar performance at the Tokyo Games.
Yes, hi everyone there in Namibia, and thank you for having me. And yes, we are still pinching ourselves just to say whether this is the truth, and I can maybe just surprise you guys and show you what I've got with me.
Wow.
This is the medal that the girl have just won. It's just a privilege just to hold one, not even saying being part of one.
Yes, it's absolutely wonderful for all of us. Henk, I think it's an unfortunate and a controversial issue, but the whole testosterone debate is here. It's been raging for some time, but did you think it also maybe put undue pressure on our girls, and that it's even used by people to detract from their talents and achievements?
Yeah, you see, what I say to most of the international press is sometimes what I believe is not necessarily right or wrong, but the rule currently states this is that. But to be honest with you, I definitely feel sometimes that these are a target for African athletes. You must understand that a girl that's 18 years old running the sweetheart of America as if she haven't been on the field for some time is just not good enough for these people. They don't want it, and they want to get excuses for losing.
Henk, was it tougher maybe to keep Christine and Beatrice focused and motivated because of this issue?
Yeah, I think in my honest opinion, the best thing about the girls is the fact that they really believe in me. And we had the talk, we sit together, all three of us. I told them that currently you cannot do the 400. I'm going to cut you off of all media exposure for now. We're going to, if somebody talks you, it'll be about good things. We're not going to discuss the situation. And we're going to try and shock the world with the 200. And I think we did it.
Yes, you definitely did it. Now, how is Team Mboma, Masilingi and Botha going to handle this from here onward?
Yeah, we have a very, very good backup structure. And I can just tell you that the agency we have, Newton Agency, have been involved with the Casters case in South Africa. The ministry is involved. Even the president have spoken out about this. And I think what we have currently decided is we will do the World Junior Championships, and we have a couple of international events after that until mid-September. And after that, we will just sit together and calculate and see what is the path forward. There is currently still a case going on. Caster appealed at the World Human Rights Court in Europe, and they are awaiting a date to sit. And maybe if there's a success in this case, there will be nothing needed to be done. But at the end, we'll just sit and decide together what will be the path forward.
Henk, are you looking forward to the opening ceremony that's coming Sunday? And our girls, as I understand it, we will see them again in this final grand ceremony.
Yes, it's a closing ceremony, but yes, we are excited. It's always excited to be part of anything like this. But I must emphasize just on this, and I do not want to take any sun away from Christine. We have a whole team here, and we have athletes on the bicycles, and we had a brilliant performance by Philip just now in the swimming pool, or what they call it, the river, open water swimming, and he did unbelievably well for a very tough event. And we must always remember, these are also kids and young people that have put a lot of effort and prepare, and we just want them to get some acknowledgement as well.
Did Christine and Beatrice also get a lot of support from within the Namibian group and from the other athletes?
Yeah, I think we are a family. I spoke to my wife just yesterday, and I said to her, it's so unbelievable how the whole team and even outside the team, the ambassador, we had a meeting with him today here in Japan. The director of the sports commission took us out with the president of the NNOC, took me out. The girls couldn't get out for lunch. But the guys here, I can just tell you, I'd like to name some of them. The Dr. David Weber, phenomenal support and job he's doing. Anna Martkrier, the physio, she was there. She was working so hard on the girls, late nights, early mornings. Davi, Joan, it's just a list of names here, and we are a very good team.
Great. Now, Henk, on this side here in Namibia, obviously we have to start planning for your grand welcome back to the country. When will you be arriving?
Our flights will be back, or we will be landing in Nusia Kutaku at the 10th of August, just before 1 o'clock. Yes, to all the people that wants to do something or wants to receive us, there's a protocol. We need to just remember these girls will fly in within 4 days again to Kenya, where they need to again run against the best of the world in the World Junior Championships. So we need to then just make sure that if we do it, make sure that we keep with the rules and mask up and distance, please.
Yes, because it's important that we keep the two of them and also you, of course, safe to make sure you can participate. Henk, when you are back on Namibian soil, what's the first thing you plan to do?
Frank Fredericks phoned me and he said, I want you guys for a braai. And I said, Frank, you are reading my mind. We need to braai. We need braai vlees. Yes, and obviously I would love to just see my family. I've been away from home. My daughter just visited back from the USA where she's studying. And I would just like, we have just got 4 days with them and then again off to Kenya. So I will just would love to see them again.
And thanks for chatting to us. And again, super congratulations and enjoy the last couple of days in Japan.
Thank you very much and highly appreciate it for having me there.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. We talked to wood carvers from Okahanja as well as the ones at the truck port in Olympia in Windhoek. They share with us their daily experience and what they do on a daily basis. And they also mention how COVID-19 has hampered their businesses as they mostly depend on tourists to support them. They make use of wood to manufacture all sorts of products, for example, chairs, tables, wild animals, and other sorts of woodwork. And here is more.
My name is Elias.
Okay.
I've been here for 5 years doing this woodcraft, embroideries, necklaces.
Roundabout, how long does it take you to finish this?
Like the big elephants almost take a month and a half.
A month and a half.
Yeah, to finish. The small ones, this one, normally I can make 10 per day.
10 per day. And during COVID, how is business going?
During COVID, we've been hit hard. There's nothing at all. Nothing.
Also, tourists are not coming in.
Also, tourists not are coming in.
Okay, thank you very much. Nah.
Thank you.
I'm busy. I'm making a dining table here. So as you can see, it's a root from the tree. So I have to level it. I have to level it on top here, and then I'll put a glass. So I'm just adding animals on those roots. So maybe it can take me something like 3 months to finish it. Yeah. But already I'm having 1.5 months busy on it. Then I'm busy putting different animals. You can see the cheetahs here. Here's a zebra. Here's the head of a crocodile. You can come this side. This one is an eagle. It's feeding his baby. There's a sable. There's a cheetah attacking the springbok. Some designing different animals I'm putting there.
Where did you learn this crafting skill?
And this one I learned from my father.
From your father?
Yes, my father. So I just take it from there. I grew up seeing him doing things. I just started it.
When you are finished with this, how much will the selling price be?
This one. Plus or minus 20,000.
Thank you very much.
A professional artist. I specialize in elephants and antelopes and wildlife art. Yeah, we have got different sizes. You can see we've got different sizes, the bigger pieces, the smaller pieces. But most of our pieces are made of prosopis wood. Prosopis wood, because it is an alien invasive species. It's not originally from Namibia, so it's not wanted. It's a weed here in Namibia. No one wants it. So the farmers, when they cut it down, they call us to come and collect. Or if they've got somewhere they need to clear, they always call us to come and clear, and they pay us with the wood. Yeah, so basically this is the best wood that we use. It's very hard wood. It's the best wood that you can use, and we feel it is good for the environment, because this is an unwanted. This is unwanted wood. Yeah, prices differ. It depends on the client. We've got different types of clients from all walks of life. But our best clients normally are the hunting clients, the hunters, because they've got shipping facilities. When they come hunt here, they want to take.
Yes, I'm Ndara Petrus. I'm a carpenter here at Trackport, nearby Olympia and area there. So we are doing this. We started here in 1998 when they started here. So we do many things here: chairs, tables, boxes, doors, many things we do here.
Hi, so my name is Aaron. So we are opposite here from Ariabush. So like you see, this one's a cutting board. You can put either your pizza, and can also cut your meat also. So we do many things. So we do all you need about woodwork. So we do.
That was some truly beautiful artwork. What did you think, Aina?
I absolutely love
Stunning.
everything.
Yes, we certainly hope that these craftsmen can get more local support as they try to weather the financial storm caused by COVID-19. Now, personally, today, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for a little sunshine for you and I. However, all we can really do is hope as we check out the weather forecast up next.
A fabric mask acts as a barrier to prevent the spread of the virus. It must be used correctly and always combined with other measures to protect yourself and everyone else. When wearing a fabric mask, clean your hands before putting it on. Inspect the mask and do not use it if it is damaged or dirty. Cover your mouth, nose and chin. Adjust the mask to your face, leaving no gaps on the sides. Avoid touching the mask while wearing it. Change your mask once it gets dirty or wet. To take off the mask, clean your hands first. Remove it by the straps behind the head or ears without touching the front of the mask. As you remove the mask, pull it away from your face. Clean your hands after taking off any mask. If you need to reuse a fabric mask, store it in a clean, resealable bag. Hold the mask at the elastic ends when removing it from the bag and make sure it is not dirty or wet before using it again. Wash fabric masks in soap or detergent, preferably with hot water, at least once a day. Make sure you have your own mask and do not share it with others. When wearing a mask, make sure you know how to put it on, use it, remove it, and discard it or wash it correctly. Remember that a mask alone cannot protect you. When wearing a mask, continue to adopt other measures to prevent the spread of the virus. Stay at least 1 meter away from others. Clean your hands frequently and thoroughly, and avoid touching your face and mask. Stay safe, and let's all prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Let's talk about burials during the COVID pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused major restrictions on the number of people who may attend funerals. Are these restrictions and rules the same for official state burials? This has been a topic since the start of the pandemic. Last year, we bid farewell to South African liberation stalwart Andrew Mhlangeni, but that drew severe criticism because of the numbers. Some scenes at this year's laying to rest of Zambia's founding president the late Kenneth Kaunda also sparked debate. The same with Tanzania's late John Magufuli, called the bulldozer, who was renowned for his stance that the coronavirus must not be taken seriously. Last week, Namibia's President Hage Geingob was questioned on this issue by journalists when current restrictions in the country were relaxed. According to Namibia's head of state, different rules apply for prominent government, traditional, and other leaders. The Namibia Press Agency produced this insert.
Geingob was responding to media queries at State House on Friday. The violation of COVID-19 regulations has become a normal occurrence, particularly at state funerals, which are attended by at least 100 people, including cabinet ministers, army officials, and family members of the deceased. Geingob was dumbfounded as to why the public thinks they are equal to politicians.
If you have a president who has a security, they follow him. Oh, hey. Are you going to count those people who are doing their essential duty? So maybe that's why I didn't explain properly. Or family. There are 10 people who are coming to mourn, but family members in the house. Are they going to count them? Maybe we didn't clarify that issue too.
Previously, COVID-19 funerals were to be attended by only 10 people, which was on Friday changed to 50 people. But in the case of the late Ovaherero Paramount Chief, Advocate Vekwi Rikoro, who succumbed to COVID-19 on 18 June, these regulations did not apply as he was only buried a month later.
Now here we had a case of a chief on Bara with special culture, with rituals that has been done. Now, although the law, I say maybe it must be 10. And people come with the culture and rituals that has to be honored, that culture says, the tribe, the culture says, it must be done. Now, as a law implementer, I'm looking at the law as it is written and circumstances of the case. So we said we will withdraw our legal practice. We're not going to be part of it. You are saying you have your culture, tradition, it is done that way.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to get into your economic news stories for the day. In our first story, South Africa in the world's poorest 40% and decades behind the average. The state of South Africa's gross domestic product per capita is plummeting, and the forecast is not looking much better. GDP is not the same as average income, as the gross domestic product measures how much an individual contributes to the production of a country. Economist Mike Schuessler confirmed this week that South Africa now ranks 107th out of 191 and is well and truly in the poor half and firmly on the way to the bottom third. He said between 2019 and 2020, SA relative GDP per capita, when compared to the world average, dropped by the biggest margin since 1994. That means South Africa is now in the poorest 40% of the world population, and we will likely be in the poorest 20% by 2040.
In our next story, MTN is offering employees a fully offline one-week holiday to avoid burnout. Mobile operator MTN is offering all employees an opportunity to apply for a fully paid fully offline 1-week holiday over and above their annual leave allocations. The pandemic has upended the traditional workplace, and employees no longer have the luxury of punching out on workplace, nor do they clock out of their personal lives when they arrive in the workplace. At MTN, we sought out the insight into growing trends, and through various feedback channels, we found that some of our people are experiencing strains, fatigue, and in some instances, burnout, said MTN SA Chief of Human Resources, Teboho Manaecha. He said that the pandemic has disrupted work-life separation, and MTN found that employees were constantly working considerably longer days than deemed healthy. The lack of a commute had seen our people sitting down at their desk at 7 and leaving at 7 p.m., and we have had to push them back against this kind of behavior after 16 months in people, and people are exhausted, he said.
All right, in our next story, the worst year on record for world airline industry. Airline industry statistics confirmed 2020 as the worst year on record due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The International Air Transport Association this week released the IATA World Air Transport Statistics publication with performance figures for 2020, demonstrating the devastating effects on global air transport during the first full year of the COVID-19 crisis. What shows that 1.8 billion passengers flew in 2020, a decrease of 60.2% compared with the 4.5 billion who flew in 2019. While industry-wide air travel demand measured in revenue passenger kilometers or RPKs dropped by 65.9% year on year. Total industry passenger revenues fell by 69% in 2020. The decline in air passengers transported last year is the largest recorded since global RPKs started being tracked in 1950. China became the largest domestic market in 2020 for the first time on record as air travel rebounded faster in their domestic market following their efforts to control COVID-19.
In our next story, Financial Intelligence Center working on introducing unexplained wealth health orders in Namibia. In a move to further prevent financial crime, the Financial Intelligence Center is pursuing the introduction of unexplained wealth orders, which will require individuals to be brought before a court of law and prove that their wealth was acquired through legal means. Chairperson of the FIC and Governor of the Bank of Namibia, John Kawahab, said the move will strengthen the investigative skills and toolkit of law enforcement agencies. We are happy to report that consultation in this regard have been fruitful with all stakeholders. Indeed, once introduced, our collaborative battle against financial crimes will take on a new dimension, he said.
That brings us to the end of our economic news segment. Next up, economic indicators.
Tell me, baby, do you like the way I move? Come on, get your dance on. We can have as much fun as you can possibly have. With your dance on. Come on, now come on, baby. Let's get this game on. Let me see it. Let's get this game on. Get it started.
With the Olympics officially coming to a close on Sunday, here's a report on some of the recent events. We start off with men's triple jump. Burkina Faso's Hughes Fabrice Zango made history on Thursday as he claimed his country's first ever Olympic medal in the men's triple jump. The 28-year-old, who also won bronze at the 2019 World Championships in Doha, jumped 17.47 meters to claim third spot on the podium. Zango's historic win came on the same day as his country's 61st independence anniversary. On Twitter, President Roch-Marc Kabore described his win as national pride. Zango's first Olympic outing was at the Rio Games 5 years ago. He had to juggle his busy school schedule to train for the Tokyo Olympics in southwest France, where he's an engineering university student. Next, we are talking about men's 800 meters. Emmanuel Correa won gold and led the Kenyan 1-2 finish in the 800 meters at the Olympics. Correa pushed his way past Australia's Peter Ball on the last turn and surged home to win in 1 minute 45.06 seconds. It was Kenya's fourth straight victory in the 800 at the Olympics. Teammate Ferguson Rotich took silver with a late kick to overtake Poland's Patrick Dobek, who held on for bronze ahead of Ball. Kenya has claimed this title at every Olympics since Beijing 2008. World record holder David Rudisha won the last two Olympic gold medals in the 800, but he didn't make Kenya's team this year because of long-term injury problems. Next up, we're talking about the women's 3,000 steeplechase. Peruth Chemutai became the first Ugandan woman to win an Olympic medal as she took gold in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase on day 12 of the Tokyo Games. The 22-year-old Ugandan set a new national record as she chased down the USA's Courtney Fredericks, who won silver at the 2017 World Championships on the final lap and pulled away to win by 20 meters. Kenya's Hyvin Kiyeng had to settle for the bronze medal to go with the silver she won in the same event at the Rio Games in 2016. And our last story is about wrestling. Egyptian wrestler Mohammed Ibrahim Al Sayed has won a bronze medal in the men's Greco-Roman 67-kilogram event after beating Artem Surkov of the Russian Olympic Committee. Al Sayed's bronze was the fifth wrestling medal for Egypt in Olympic history, with the three-time African champion's superb defensive performance earning him the win after he scored the final point in a 1-1 tie. Al Sayed went 1 point behind early on in the first period, but managed to limit the deficit until the break. The 23-year-old from Alexandria squared the match with just 1:55 left on the clock before then defending heroically to see out the win. After confirming his victory, a delighted Al Sayed celebrated by carrying his coach on his shoulders.
Happy Friday if you are just joining us right now. Well, we are about to cross over to Mzansi and chat to Ari Hohad, who has the sports package. Good morning, Ari. How are you?
Yes, a very good morning. It's a nice Friday, nice sporting weekend to look forward to. So lots happening. I'll start off with a quick tennis news. That is breaking news. South African Lloyd Harris, late last night, South African time, beat Rafael Nadal in the City Open in Washington. So a great win there in 3 sets for Lloyd Harris. But let's go on to some cricket and rugby and also some golf news and start off some cricket news. There's a 5-day test happening at the moment in England. It is England hosting India, 2 powerhouses of international cricket. And day one, it was India that did well with the ball. England batted first, 183 all out. And then yesterday, it was India that replied. They were 97 without loss at one stage, and then lost 4 quick wickets, 112 for 4, but closed on 125 for the loss of 4 wickets. So that was overnight, and still the game there, a bit in the balance. That's being played at Trent Bridge. And then that's Bangladesh playing against Australia. That's a big T20 series at the moment. They're playing in Mirpur, that is in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is doing well. They're leading the series 2-0 against the powerhouse Australia, and today will be the third of the 5 T20 games that will be played. And on to some rugby news. It's a big day for Southern African rugby, or for South African rugby. It's the 3rd test of the Lions, British and Irish Lions, that play South Africa, the Springboks, Saturday, tomorrow in the Cape Town Stadium. It is nicely poised at 1-1, and that's a decider. Tomorrow, the winner takes it all. It only happens every 12 years. So the big news is that there was 6 changes in the Lions team for this game, and South Africa also made 2 injury-enforced changes for the kickoff tomorrow at 6 p.m. Weather predictions is good for the kickoff. It's not going to be raining. It's raining on Sunday, but not tomorrow. And the referee for this game is the Frenchman Matteo Reynal. He's 39 years old from France, and they say that he is very fluent in English, and he needs to be very fluent in English for tomorrow's game. Hopefully that will be the last time we talk about Matteo Reynal. Hopefully he will have a great game, and that rugby will win. And also then tomorrow morning, it is Australia that play against New Zealand. That is also a test match tomorrow. New Zealand playing Australia in the Bledisloe Cup in New Zealand. Lastly, some golf news. The Hero Open that started at the St Andrews in Scotland. It was the first round yesterday, and the Scottish Callum Hill did well in the first round. He played a great round, 9 under par in his round, and then Jonathan Caldwell on -8. South African interest, Justin Walters on -4, and Daniel van Tonder, he battled a bit on +2. And then lastly, just to close, the WGC FedEx St. Jude International is being played, currently being played at the TPC at Sawgrass, that's in Memphis, Tennessee. And a very strong field competing there in this tournament. And the first round leader at the moment is Harris English of the United States on 8 under par. And a few strong players chasing him, Matthew Wolff and Ian Poulter is on 6 under par, Bryson DeChambeau on 5 under par, and South African Louis Oosthuizen, he's on 3 under par, also did well in the first round, and Gary Hugo, also of South Africa, -2. So hopefully Louis Oosthuizen can get a win. He's been second many times. Hopefully he can win this tournament. So that's all the sports news. Hopefully, I hope you'll have a great Friday and a brilliant sporting weekend. We'll talk on Monday again, and with all the results. And until then, have a great weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Ari. We are certainly looking forward to the weekend. It's looking like a beautiful time for people who enjoy competitive sports. Good luck getting us to leave our homes. This is Still Africa. Good morning. We'll be back after the break with your headlines. Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m. and one of the places you can catch us is oneup2.com, NMH's live channel. However, if you missed our top stories at the top of the hour, worry not. Here are your headlines. Ethiopia, heartbreaking devastation in Tigray, says UN humanitarian chief. Central African Republic UN report calls for urgent end to mounting human rights abuses and violations. Latest COVID-19 data confirms infections have risen globally for 4 consecutive weeks. South Africa in world's poorest 40%, decades behind the average. Burkina Faso's Hughes Fabrice Zango made history on Thursday as he claimed his country's first ever Olympic medal in the men's triple jump. In cricket, India currently play against England in a 5-day test at Trent Bridge, and Australia play a T20 series against Bangladesh. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on the Friday edition of Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. You can keep the conversation going on those platforms. Please remember to play your part against the fight of COVID-19 and also wear your mask and get vaccinated.
Indeed, and with everything going on, I'd encourage you to remember what the Shonas say, Chikuru Kufema, which means the most important thing to do is to breathe. See you Monday.